Good Thursday morning to you. I'm 11 Live Weather Impact meteorologist Melissa Nord. It is a Thursday morning, and that means we talk about the drought. And the lack of rainfall here in parts of metro Atlanta is becoming a lot more dire. In Atlanta, we last had a 1-inch rain day back on August 19th, nearly 7 weeks ago. Our rainfall in the month of September, it was the driest in 2 decades. So it's really no surprise that when this drought monitor came out this morning, it didn't just have drought expanding, but intensifying in parts of metro Atlanta. So you can see last week versus this week, the comparison. We now have that orange shade on the map over metro Atlanta. That is a level 2 severe drought. So we also have now the return of extreme drought. That's a level 3 drought in parts of southwestern Georgia. In those locations, we have seen that it's affecting agriculture in a big way. It's been affecting the peanut harvest so far this fall. It's also affecting farmers that have livestock. The fields have all run, the pastures have run dry. Livestock, they have to eat something, so they're either having to feed them their winter hay or sell off some of their livestock as they head into winter. But here in metro Atlanta, as we zoom in on the map, we've seen the greatest drought and the greatest departure from normal of rainfall really between I-85 and I-75 south of Atlanta. So in Atlanta, down to the south, these counties in this burnt orange color are now in a level 2 severe drought. So it is getting a lot more serious. In fact, one of those counties that kind of touches that level 2 drought is Pike County, which for those of you who are not familiar is right here. Pike County earlier this week began issuing water restrictions, saying that if you have an even house number, you're only allowed to water on these specific days. If you have an odd house number, you water on the other specific days. And it has to be in the morning or first thing in the evening, the overnight or first thing in the morning. So drought has expanded. It is getting worse. When we talk about metro Atlanta, we have a very unique water setup here. We share water in our state as well with Florida and Alabama, and we have a couple different water basins, but we always have to talk about water conservation. So even though there are no present water restrictions in place for the metro, this is a time to conserve water. I know you probably, if you're seeding your yard, want to water it, but of course, water those specific times a day and try not to put too much water down, okay? Don't waste the water. We need the water. So think about taking shorter showers if you don't need to. It is more, conserves more water when you run the dishwasher versus washing everything and running the water by hand in the sink. So if you can use the dishwasher, let it do its job. It conserves a lot more water than if you are washing the dishes in the sink, which I think is a very unusual fact, but it is a fact nonetheless. Here's the difference of how we've gone from kind of feast to famine over the last 3 months. In August, we had 4.5 inches of rain, but the bulk of that was the first half of the month, really past the 19th, 20th, 21st. That was our last decent kind of inch and a half of rainfall, and the water spigots turned off. We had a rain deficit in Atlanta of around 4 inches in the month of September. In October, we only had 0.05 inch of rain. It was our driest September in 2 decades since 2005, and it was the 5th driest all time here in Atlanta. Now, do things look better moving forward? Unfortunately, they do not. This is going to be the rainfall outlook you're going to see over the next 7 days here in metro Atlanta. There we go, it's populated. You can see generally we're not expecting rain over the next 7 days in North Georgia. And furthermore, the Climate Prediction Center today, each and every month, they update what is the state of the El Nino Southern Oscillation. What are we seeing right now? Well, they have said that the El Nino Southern Oscillation has now moved into a La Nina. So in that phase of La Nina, when we see that through the winter, which is expected to continue through at least December, maybe January timeframe, this is the setup. We see a much more active storm track in the Pacific Northwest down into the Great Lakes and Northeast. Here in the South, especially across southern Georgia, we typically see warmer conditions and drier conditions through the winter. So last winter we had an El Nino. This winter, It is a La Nina. So when we have El Nino winters, we end up with a wetter pattern. The southern storm track, the jet stream, the southern stream of the jet stream is a lot more active. But in a La Nina, we see warmer and drier conditions as a whole in North Georgia. So is this a concern that we're in a drought now and we have a La Nina? It absolutely is. Our rapid onset drought, rapidly developing drought, could be a more persistent drought that lasts into parts of the winter months, considering we expect a La Nina to continue. Now, with that being said, we can still see wetter patterns setting up. We will cross our fingers we get some of those.